like we've got a good group here so far. My name is Chris Baker. I'm part of the High School Design Competition Committee. Then we will move on to our keynote speaker, Carl Dobman. AIA, he's the Dean and Professor at Lawrence Tech University, College of Design and Architecture and Design. And then we'll go over the projects, overview, and awards, the things everyone is here for. A couple general announcements here. Again, the presentation today and that video that was showing all the boards is going to be sent out to everyone and also be available on social media. The winners list will be emailed to all the teachers and all the sponsors as well, so they have that information. And also another thing, this year our cash prizes from AIA Toledo have actually increased this year, and also the cash prizes will be sent to the addresses of the students that we have. Just a little welcome. My name is Chris Baker again, and then we have Elizabeth Ellis, who many of you have seen emails from. She's been great at communicating those items for us, and she's also leading our social media. Then we have Mike Rowe from the Bureau Group, and then we have Andy Welch, who's not able to make it tonight from PMBA. And this year we were able to get 44 projects from 7 schools. It's a little bit of an increase from last year. And at this time, I would like to introduce Carl Dobman, AIA. He's currently the Dean and Professor at Lawrence Tech Technological University College of Architecture and Design in Southfield, Michigan. He's also a practicing architect at DOB Lab Research Studio. DOB is short for his name and also stands for Design, Architecture, Urbanism, and Building. He is a former professor at University of Michigan, Rogers Williams University, University of Cincinnati, Boston Architectural College, and he has also been the VP of Design Creative Director for Blue Homes to develop prefab homes that can be shipped across North America. He was a partner of Fly Architecture for more than 10 years, focusing on design and digital fabrication in Michigan. He has also won numerous awards and citations nationally and locally throughout his career. I would like to welcome Carl to speak with our future students.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me tonight. It's a pleasure. Hey, Dan, we only get to see one another on Zoom these days, it seems like.
That's true. Have fun.
Let me set a timer because, like we often do, I probably have too many slides, but we can do this in 15 minutes. That's not a problem. Yeah, and it's a bit of a tall order. I love speaking to high school students and getting people excited about what is happening in the field and what may lay ahead for them. And so I did bring some slides. I will share my screen. So thank you for that introduction, Chris. This is me. And maybe I'll just talk generally. It's always a tough thing to talk about or represent the field of architecture in a short period of time. But one of the ways that I talk about this is there are things that make us unique as architects, and even more generally as designers. And one of those things that I would say is that we basically live in the future. And by that, I mean that we are always thinking about what could be happening in the future, what problems exist, and how can we make these things better. So my guess is that everyone that's in the audience has encountered something in their environment, in things that they engage on a daily basis that could be better. And I think at the heart of what we do as designers and as architects who think about the built environment, we make these things better, or we work, or we have the ambition to make things better. The other thing that's a little different, and I think it's often the case to think about, some people talk about architects as artists and some people don't. I'm in the camp where I talk about the distinctions or differences between architects and artists. And I love, I'm gonna share a couple of books and references today, just pulling from these different sources. But from this book, the author was talking about being in a place where he was teaching, where there are both artists and architects. And one thing that makes us unique and even makes our careers sometimes more difficult is that an artist usually has a direct connection to the material that they're working with. And that if I'm a painter, I'm going to be working with paint and working with a canvas. If I'm a sculptor, I'm going to be working directly with those materials. And even today, I was on a review talking to sophomore architecture students. And really what we do as architects is we imagine what's going to come, and we design this, and we work with our clients to think about what's going to be happening. But ultimately, someone else is going to be building the things that we design. And this makes for a unique maybe set of issues, in that we have to also be really good communicators. We have to understand the client, the city, the site, the people that we're serving, but we also have to communicate to other people how to, maybe not even how to build these things, but just what needs to be built. And with this comes another aspect of this. Just thinking about, it was a few years ago, and I came across this book that was talking about the relationship between architecture and civil engineering, as well as naval architecture. And this book talked about the similarities between these things. And I highlight these two things because when someone calls an architect, they are investing if it's someone's house, they're investing money into building that house. If it's an organization, they have a investment that they're making, and there's a huge amount of risk that comes with that. In most cases, our clients have never built a building before, and this puts us in an important and ethical and professional situation, right? We are serving that client and providing a service to them. But think about what it means when you get a whole bunch of people together. And the example, right, this notion of advanced planning and the logistics and fabrication that comes with this, maybe two examples here. One is a barn raising. If we just think about it in that most traditional sense, if we don't have a plan, when all of our neighbors arrive on the site to help us raise the barn, no one knows what to do. If we don't have the materials on site, no one will have anything to do when they arrive, and everyone will be standing around looking at us. And so it's really, we are, on a big project, we might be 5 years, 10 years in the future, thinking about what's going to be happening, how this is going to get built, why it's getting built, all of these things. And so, in a kind of lighthearted way, thinking about, I love like detective TV shows, but I also love a good heist movie. And like with a good heist movie is the planning that goes into that, right? And here we see a capture from Ocean's 12, right? The team, usually a multidisciplinary team, standing around the table, sometimes practicing how they're going to go about that big heist. And it's usually around a set of blueprints. And so that's not unlike a lot of job site meetings that I've been to, where we're thinking about how a building might get built. And so it's, again, back to that moment of being able to communicate and read what someone is in need of, but also for us to be able to communicate to others how something's going to play out. And one building that I love that's in Toledo and local for many of you is the Toledo Glass Museum. And just to highlight how complex some of these relationships have become over the years. And it's also maybe a little sad for me that Toledo, being the city of glass, the glass for this building was made in Austria. And then it was shipped to China to be curved. And then it was shipped from China back to Toledo. And so just thinking about the logistical complexity of all of the different materials for a building, who's working on them, where they're sourced, how they're processed. In this day and age, in the kind of global practice of architecture, we're having to communicate in many different ways, often in many different languages, across sometimes city lines, county lines, state lines, country lines, even continental lines. And that building, which is local for many of you, has those kind of roots in this kind of amazing transportation and movement of the materials all over the world. So as we think about our profession, the other thing that when I'm talking to aspiring architects, then I talk about the kind of opportunities for us is this idea that anything right on the right-hand side or the bottom portion of this curve, anything that can be automated is eventually going to be automated. What's amazing for us in creative fields is that this is going to be the last thing to be automated. And so as we talk about robots and people losing their jobs because of those types of activities, as a creative field, we are going to be around for a long time. And all of the easy problems in the world, I would argue, have already been solved by by generations that preceded us. And so to the students that are in high school thinking about a career in architecture or design, you're going to have a long, fruitful career because creativity is going to play such a crucial role in addressing the problems of the world. We need creative people, we need creative thinkers, we need people that can communicate. And so another part of that, right, technology is tied into this. I'm very interested in, and Chris mentioned some of the things that I've been involved with thinking about technology. I see these kind of progressions that are happening. And there's always probably a generational gap on this in this presentation today. Many of the students may not know what the thing on the left is. It's a map. It was on paper. And it was incredibly static. And to imagine trying to use something like that today, it would be wild. The in-between image was early form of GPS where you actually would download it, but it was static, right? And the expectation that we have today is that things are live, they're crowdsourced, there's information at our fingertips. And I think I'm starting to see design tools for us that as we design buildings, our expectation is going to be that we're going to have that live information. Who else sourced this product? What kind of feedback did they get? And so trends that we're seeing in other places in kind of our electronics, on our phones and in other areas, we're going to start to see those within the design field. And so not only are there opportunities to be a designer who will design buildings, but I think there's amazing opportunities to think as how we support creative fields. So how you might leverage these types of technologies. And we see these transformations, right? This was student work where I worked with students last year. We were thinking about the body and just dimensions of the body, what it meant to design for a human. And that's a kind of the static notion of that on the left. We were working with VR technology where we could design in virtual reality. And so what we see is a student kind of waving their hand using the hand controller as a way to map out the space of their own body. And so we can start to become very customized, thinking about different users, different needs, and how those things play out. And I'm thinking about sharing these things from technology. I've been interested in robotics and manufacturing. And so one of the things that I've been doing is working, the class that I was speaking in today was sophomore students. And so we have all of our sophomore students do a module where they learn how to work with an industrial robot. And so here we can see them going through an exercise, learning how to program that. For me, it's less about, do I think that everyone is going to be operating a robot in the future? No. But do I think as designers, we need to be able to communicate both to contractors, to different to machines, to robots. And I think it's in that way that we share the information. We're going to be able to do this in kind of robust and exciting ways in the future. Here's an example of just a student using the robot to make a whole bunch of study models. And so we can think about how we design, how we test our ideas, how we share those ideas, and be able to do that kind of with a number of different iterations, right? We design, and many of the students who are sharing their work today, right? You try something, you get feedback, you try it again. And so we're looking at how we might speed up that process and bring other information into it. I'd also say the field of architecture is incredibly broad. Anyone that's an architect can probably talk about what their specific passions are and how they've found a space within the practice of architecture. And I include kind of two friends and colleagues, former student. And so Eric on the left-hand side grew up in Michigan, and he did his master's degree, and he won a scholarship to go to Finland to study wood. He gave this amazing lecture talking about it, but through architecture, I found out only later that when he won that scholarship, that was the first time he was ever even on an airplane, and that was the first time he ever left Michigan. And so with architecture, with the profession comes, one can work very local, or you can also travel the world and see things in different way. Tiffany Brown, the woman on the right, she's trying to deal with increasing diversity within the field of architecture. She's an architect, but she created a nonprofit organization to help support women of color becoming licensed architects in the future, right? So she's part of our profession, but she found a way to plug in a very different way. So we have a couple minutes left. I was just going to share a couple of images of some of the work that I've done, because I know all of you are sharing your work tonight and award those things, but to maybe just talk about my specific approach and some of the things that I've been able to do. Very interested in how we make things. And in my practice that Chris mentioned in Apply Architecture, we were interested in both designing and actually building the things that we designed. And so this was a design that we did for a restaurant interior. The metal ceiling that you can see, every piece was a different length and a unique part. And so we were able to do this in a very quick, very inexpensive way. And here you can see the entire ceiling was this aluminum custom ceiling. We did that because of the way that we understood technology and the way that we understood how to build things. And so that was my passion was, how do we make things and how do I learn how to make new things? And so within our practice, we did a number of restaurant interiors, we did residential projects. This was another restaurant where we were thinking this was a sushi restaurant, and how would we build something, design something, and work on it? And the inspiration in this case came from, because it was a sushi restaurant, thinking about being underwater and what it would be like to have this kind of animal floating above you in the space. And so we designed it, we fabricated it, we installed it, and then here's a kind of final image of that. Some very abstract. We didn't want it to really look like an animal, but it has those kind of qualities of the gills and of this kind of belly that's floating above you in the space. We were able to take this type of idea of making and take this idea of research. This was a temporary pavilion that we did at the Botanical Garden. And we developed our own computer program that helped us to lay out all of those parts, figure out how much it cost, and simulate it long before it was even built. And so we were really trying to fundamentally change the way that we thought about having a practice of architecture, in that we weren't simply designing, we were drawing, we were speculating, we were researching, and we were also building. And so a couple of images, that was a temporary pavilion. It was made all out of aluminum. And in the end, the entire building was recycled when it came time for it to come down. And these other opportunities, this was the image on the right, is from the first snowfall in that pavilion. And so all of those conical pieces, the building was almost like a pine cone. All of those conical elements collected all of the snow and then deposited them as little piles at the bottom of the space. And then just a couple of images as kind of scaling up some of that thinking. Chris mentioned my work with prefab housing. And so this was an opportunity, I had a chance to work. I was based in Michigan. I had part of my team in Boston and part of my team in San Francisco. And so I was able to travel around, visit the factory, visit the different sites, and work on different sites. This was a house that we did in Joshua Tree, a different house in Northern California, and then another house of that kind of same product in Northern California. And so what I would say, just to circle back and to kind of conclude these things, is that one of the things that I've kind of been able to do myself, as well as witness other people do, is change the profession in ways that align with their particular passion. And so if you want to work at a particular scale, you want to work with a group of people, you want to support support projects in certain geographies, I think all of those opportunities exist, and it allows you to really design your own future and to design the type of architect that you want to be. And so I think it's a really incredible and exciting time to be moving into a creative field. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I'd be happy to support, as I know others on the call are all here to support you as you might be thinking about these opportunities in the future. So I'll leave it with that. And then maybe there's some questions. I can stop sharing.
We do have some time for if any of the students or the teachers have any quick questions for Carl. If not, we can keep on moving.
Everyone's shy tonight. Everyone just wants to see who won the awards, right? That's what it's about tonight.
Right.
I don't want to keep us from that either.
Oh, this is Bill Bosselman from River Rock Property Group. I'm just curious. It sounds like you're pretty into technology. What are you seeing in terms of AI and machine learning being used in architecture?
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion about it. I think what I'm seeing mostly happening these days, and any technology, I'd say, whether it's AI or robotics or anything that preceded, there are ways that we kind of test those things. The early tests that I see happening now seem to be mostly two-dimensional and kind of screen-based. And so what I'm kind of watching for is to see when some of that AI starts to move into three-dimensional space and starting to think about some of those things. But I think there's incredible things happening. And I was at an AIA event a couple of years ago, and it was a lighting designer who fundamentally changed the way that I was thinking about AI, because probably at that point in time, like most of us, I was thinking, oh no, AI is going to come and take our jobs from us, right? We're going to, we can automate the design of architecture. And I don't think it's an either or proposition. I think it's a little bit of both. And this lighting designer, what he said was, if I could let an AI design all the emergency lighting for me, then I could design the more creative aspects. And what I'd love to see us being able to do is to automate some of those things. And I think any of the practicing architects could probably name a number of things that we don't necessarily like doing. They're not high level creative activities. It tends to be the door schedule tends to be an easy kind of target as it relates to that, right? Could we automate some of these lower level tasks that we do that allows us to do what we do well, and that's to be creative? I think there's other opportunities, right? For many, the hiring an architect is outside of what they can afford. And so could we, with the help of AI, start to deliver some of our services or some of what we do to reduce our fees, right? And that comes with like, oh my God, the last thing we should do is reduce our fees. But do what we do, like the creative aspects of what we do, could we do more of that? And I think we could charge more for being more creative and offload some of those other types of activities that could be automated. And so I'm watching twofold. One, to see what happens when AI starts to become more spatial and less two-dimensional, as well as what types of activities would we want to be in control of? Because I'm also a firm believer that if you try and resist technology, it ends up coming to a certain point where you're not in control of that. And so I always want to be at the forefront of technology and help craft the way that we might incorporate it into our discipline. And so I think that is something that we should be in control of, and we should be playing with, and we should be aware of those things. But it's at this point, I'm not worried that AI is going to replace us, but I think it could help us. But I don't see any of those things super actionable just yet, just today. we'll see. I think we all know it's coming quickly though.
Thank you, Carl. Okay, we have time for one more, if there is anything else, or we can just start talking about the awards.
Hey, Chris, I can throw one out there.
Okay.
This is Heather with AIA Toledo. Just thinking about high school students, you presented, Carl, a really great range of sort of different things that architects can do that maybe weren't what they were kind of traditionally thinking or what we've experienced so far. So that could be somewhat overwhelming. What advice do you have for high school students on how to kind of dig into what they might be passionate about?
Well, that's a great question, Heather. I mean, as I talk to prospective students, there's sometimes, and I think you're right in identifying that, this can seem overwhelming. I think anyone moving into a creative field or into architecture, the first year of architecture school, we are going to work with you. We're going to educate you as it relates to these things. And so a lot of students come to me anxious, like, oh, how much do I need to do before I get there? I'd say, like, it's good to experience buildings. It's good to visit cities. It's good to visit different buildings and see them, but don't be so worried about necessarily preparing yourself. If you have a solid high school education, when you get to design school, we want to kind of start at zero and build up from there and talk about those things. So don't come in to your first year of school anxious about those things, but instead, to circle back to another aspect of your question, Heather, I'd say to get exposure to these different things. For me, it meant working in different offices. It meant engaging different faculty members when I was in school as a way to learn about those things, right? Be curious, be a sponge. And it wasn't probably until later in my career when I really was able to identify what I wanted to be doing and then how to go about it. So I think it's okay to start and get exposure to a lot of these things and understand it. But like you identified, I only gave you a small sampling too. There's an incredible range of diversity within the practice, and you can make it your own, but you don't have to do that at the very beginning either. I think it comes with some experience. It comes with some exposure to those things. But that's a great place to be, right? You're learning, you're getting experience, and you're getting exposure to maybe different types of buildings, different approaches, and different people in the industry. It's just so much fun.
Okay, thank you again. And thank you, Heather and Bill, for those questions. We will continue on. And also for the students, if you are interested in architecture or the field, there are several related fields. Get a hold of Toledo AIA. That's your first step. Your teachers know how to get a hold of us. We're glad to help you and show you what the industry and professional is like. So we will get going here. Okay, a little bit about the project. Most of the students have seen this in detail, so I'm not going to go into detail for it. It is in the former French Quarter Square, where there was a hotel for years. It has been removed, and the project is taking over one of the buildings for Safe Splash. I believe the whole property is run by River Rock Property Group. The scope of the work, scope of the project is basically what architects usually get from a client. Basic understanding, the client wanted a pool, a splash pad or kids play area, and then they wanted a lobby, they wanted a retail space, and also all the support spaces, the restrooms that nobody likes to do, the locker rooms. That's a key part in the buildings that we request the students to take a look at. I know two of the representatives from Safe Splash were not able to make it tonight, Chris and Christian, but I know Marianne Peters, I believe, did join us, and I'm going to open it up if she would like to say something.
Sure. Thank you very much. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I am on my phone sitting in a parking lot waiting for my daughter to get out of practice. So
Yes,
that's
we
just
can hear
kind of
you.
our crazy life right now. I I can speak for Chris and Christian, who were actually judges in the project. I wasn't able to judge. I was actually heading out of town at this time of the at the time of the event, but Chris and Christian truly enjoyed being a part of this project. It was really fun to see all the different designs that all the students came up with. Very impressed with the level of talent and detail that people went into. And as far as how they were able to kind of narrow it down, they said that this particular student, whoever had won, had gone above and beyond, did pictures and a video walkthrough, and they were really impressed. But overall, they were impressed with everything that came out of the project, and we were very, very fortunate to be a part of it. So thank you for allowing us to be a part of it.
So thank you. Okay, on to the fun part. The awards. And again, the list of the winners will be sent to the teachers and the sponsors and the judges so they can send out their personal thank yous and congratulations if they would like. Okay, the first award is for the Materials Innovation Award. That is by the Toledo Emerging Professionals, and the judge for that was Dave Johnson. And there were cash prizes for first and second place. The second place winner is Daniel Huang from Perrysburg High School. The judge liked the curving transparent canopies that represented the waves, and very clever use of looking like it's underwater. And first place goes to Isaiah Matthews, Perrysburg High School. The judge liked the glass and steel facade while challenging the limits of the building, and actually liked the nature of the glass facade. So congratulations, Isaiah. Okay, the next award is a Sustainable Design Award sponsored by Gem Energy. And the judges were Nathan Knapp and Michael Tolson. And we had cash prizes for 3 places. And third place for Sustainable Design goes to Tate Falk from Anthony Wayne High School. They like the green roof and solar panels as the sustainable features. Congratulations, Tate. Second place goes to Ben Bowen from Anthony Wayne High School. The judges like the use of solar and the green roof and the energy efficient windows that were called out in the drawings. Congratulations, Ben. And first place for sustainable design goes to Andrew Williamson from Anthony Wayne. The judges liked the solar and also the pavers around the deck and the native vegetation to reduce the water usage. It's a nice concept for a water park, for a pool area. So congratulations to those 3. And the next award is for the Digital Media Award, sponsored by Bowling Green Architecture Department. And the judge for that was Scott McPherson. And there are prizes for that as well. Second place for Media Award goes to Ben Bowen from Anthony Wayne. The judge liked the glass enclosure and elegance of the natural light and articulated and manifested through the graphic techniques. First place for digital media goes to Alexis Reyes from Anthony Wayne. The judge liked the overall partie with strong intentions, and he really liked the image and your graphic representation. Congratulations to those two students from Anthony Wayne. The next prize is for the lighting design, and that was sponsored and judged by Gasser-Busch Associates, a local lighting provider who I have gone to several times. The judges for that is Kara McMillan and Jonathan Casano. And there are cash prizes for first and second place. Second place for lighting design goes to the Cassidy Kamen from Anthony Wayne. The judges like the interior and exterior lighting and like the lobby showing it that the lights were on. Congratulations to Cassidy. First place for lighting design goes to Daniel Froelich from Anthony Wayne. The judges appreciated the nighttime and the daytime renderings that he provided. So congratulations to those two students for the Lighting Design Awards. The next award that was sponsored by Edge and Unilock was the landscape architecture. The judges were Tim, Sharon, and Jack. And there were first through third cash prizes as well. And third place for landscape architecture design goes to AJ Burnthissel from Perrysburg High School. The judges like the drop-off entrance as an asset, and they also like the use of screening to hide the utilities. Congratulations, AJ. Okay, second place goes to Alexis Reyes. They really like the back patio and the raised beds and the bench seating. And they thought the back patio was a sneak peek at what was behind everything. So congratulations to Alexis. And first place for landscape architecture goes to Daniel Froelich at Anthony Wayne High School. They really like the patio space and the splash pad, and the see-through facades added to a lot of interest. So congratulations to those three students for the Landscape Architecture Awards. The next award is the Urban Design Award, sponsored by the Toledo Design Collective. Judges were Jennifer Van Horn, Paul Hollenbeck, Ruth Chang, Molly Burns, and Elizabeth Ellis. And they provided 2 places with cash prizes. Second place for urban design goes to Daniel Froelich from Anthony Wayne. They like the playfulness of the building interacting with the site, and the indoor-outdoor interaction seems seamless with the large windows. Congratulations. And first place for urban design goes to Isaiah Matthews of Perrysburg High School. They thought it was successful in generating urban design condition and made it particularly compelling. So congratulations to those two students for the Urban Design Awards. Next, we will move on to the Architectural Design Awards that are sponsored by AIA Toledo. Also, some of these do have scholarships for Lawrence Tech or Detroit Mercy. The judges were Kevin Costello and Jacob Miley of AIA Toledo, and Dan Patera of University of Detroit Mercy, and Chris Peters and Christian Taylor of Safe Splash. And I did listen in to these judges, and it was the Safe Splash representatives were very excited about these. They had some really interesting input, which were completely different than some of the architects' input. So that was interesting to listen to. Again, here's some scholarship opportunities for this first, second, and third place. The colleges will contact you, and they have your names with the winners. And we will move on to the freshman, sophomore submissions. There's cash prizes for the first, second, and third place. And the third place for freshman, sophomore goes to Andrew Bowden of Perrysburg High School. They like the low entry, the good intention, and good exterior, and it looks inviting. They wanted to see more detail of it. So congratulations, Andrew. Second place for freshman and sophomore goes to Andrew Sadler of Whitmer High School. They really like the lobby and the lobby of the pool and the outdoor space. And they really wanted to see the exterior developed more. These are freshman and sophomore submissions, so they have 2 to 3 more years to take this feedback into consideration when working on the future boards. Congratulations, Andrew. And first place for the freshman, sophomore goes to Tobias Clausen at Whitmer High School. The judges felt that the building had the French Quarter feel, and they liked the balcony effect, and they liked the use of materialities. So congratulations to those students for the freshman, sophomore classes. Next, we will move on to the juniors. We did go up to honorable mention just because the judges felt that there were enough successful designs that they liked. Okay, honorable mention for the juniors goes to Tate at Anthony Wayne High School. They like the layering of the building masses and the sustainability concept. Congratulations, Tate. Fourth place for a junior goes to Andrew Seaton from St. Francis High School. They like the play pool, and actually looks like a design of some of the other similar schools, and the dynamic exterior. So congratulations, Andrew. Third place for juniors goes to Andrew Williamson at Anthony Wayne High School. They felt that this building created an experience. It was more than just swim lessons. And they really liked your round wall and the material that was used on it. They were curious about what material was actually used. Felt it was eye-catching. So congratulations, Andrew, for third place. Second place for juniors goes to Ben Bowen from Anthony Wayne. The judges like the mix of materials and they like the roof structure. And they wanted to see the pool in front of the glass structure. Would be a feedback for next year, for next time. So congratulations to Ben. And first place for juniors goes to Isaiah Matthews from Perrysburg High School. They used one word for this building. It was exuberance. And they love the section cut of the building. Section cut can really tell the story of a building, and you did a great job with that. It has a personality of its own. Congratulations, Isaiah, and to the rest of the juniors. And we will move on to the seniors. Some of these students have done it in the past years. Sometimes some of them are their first time. I've seen some of the names before. So thank you for continuing to do the program. And also thank you teachers for continuing to do the program. We did go up to 5th place for the seniors. 5th place for senior goes to Connor Roberts from Perrysburg High School. The judges felt it was a successful curved roof and nice elevation, playfulness of the waves needs to carry through. They did want to see more detail. So you had the judges asking for more. Good job, Connor. Okay. And 4th place for seniors goes to Tyler Yeager from Penta Career Center. They like the inviting feeling of the light colors and blending of the traditional building structure and contemporary. And they also like the rendering. And I do have to comment, a lot of these renderings are very successful. It's amazing what high school level students can do. I've seen some professionals can't do this well. So you're on to a great start if this is the profession you want to get into. Okay, so congratulations, Tyler. Okay, 3rd place for senior level goes to Jacob Broker from Sylvania Northview. They thought it was effective floor plan, and they liked the scale and proportion of the building. And they also thought it was a very buildable solution. Congratulations, Jacob. Okay, and second place for senior goes to Alexis Reyes from Anthony Wayne High School. One thing that they did like is the large sign. You can definitely see it within the, amongst all the buildings in the area. And students seem to understand the proportions because it was done very well. So congratulations to Alexis. And first place for a senior, and Marianne may have suggested to this one, but it goes to Daniel Froelich from Anthony Wayne High School. They felt that this one got a gold star, decals on glass, night shot was great. And also this student did go above and beyond, providing the virtual tour. That is a first for us, and it may be an opportunity for future judging. We will let you know in the future if that will be a part of it. But it did help the judges understand the building by walking inside. Stills can only show so much. So congratulations to Daniel. Okay, and on behalf of the committee, I would just like to say thank you. And also we have a couple other thank yous for Becker Impressions, BGSU, Scott, for doing the rendering day for us. The AA Toledo Platinum Partners, Kuhlman, Tri-County Block and Brick, and Rudolph Libby. And Nancy has helped us out a great amount, helped the committee. And also Tony and Isabella helped us out as well. And also a special thank you to the 2 colleges that have provided scholarship opportunities for these students. Detroit Mercy and Lawrence Tech. And also a thank you to our award sponsors. And last but not least, thank you to the students, the instructors, the advisors, judges, and students' families. Without you, this wouldn't be a successful program for the past 72 years. Hopefully we'll have a bigger, better year next year. And thank you, everyone.